By mid-2025, Trump had drastically shortened his timeline, giving Russia just 10 to 12 days to reach a peace deal or face 100% tariffs and harsh secondary sanctions. The Kremlin remained unshaken. Then, on August 1st, Trump made his most provocative move yet. Through a post on Truth Social, he announced that he had ordered 2 U.S. nuclear submarines to be positioned in appropriate regions, closer to Russia. He said the order came in response to what he called foolish and highly provocative statements from former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, who had publicly referenced Russia's dead hand nuclear launch system, a chilling Cold War-era deterrent designed to ensure retaliation even after annihilation. Trump warned that words have consequences, and his submarine move was meant to send a message. The Kremlin wasted no time in responding. Russian officials dismissed Trump's announcement as little more than political theater, branding it a tantrum that wouldn't alter the strategic balance. They insisted that the presence of U.S. submarines near Russian waters was not new and would not intimidate Moscow. According to analysts in Russian state media, their submarine fleet and coastal defenses remain unmatched. But while Russia mocked the move, President Putin maintained a more reserved posture, delivering what many saw as a cold, calculated message. Putin reiterated his call for lasting and stable peace, but made clear that such peace could only happen on his terms. He demanded that Ukraine withdraw from the 4 partially occupied regions Russia annexed in 2022, Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia, and insisted that Kyiv abandon all aspirations to join NATO. In addition, Putin called for global recognition of Russia's sovereignty over those territories, the lifting of Western sanctions, and the protection of Russian-speaking populations in Ukraine. Without these conditions, he warned, Moscow would not budge. "We will do this immediately," Putin said, once Ukraine agrees. Russia's military posture also shifted subtly. While officials downplayed the submarine deployment, Russia joined China in major naval drills in the Sea of Japan, focusing specifically on anti-submarine warfare. The timing of the drills, just days after Trump's announcement, was no coincidence. It was a statement of readiness, of mutual deterrence. Russian analysts said Trump's move was more noise than action, and state-controlled media accused Washington of resorting to theatrics because its diplomatic efforts had failed to sway Moscow. Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky responded to the rising tension with urgency. Following a week of deadly Russian missile and drone attacks that killed civilians in Kyiv, Zelensky called for tighter sanctions, increased weapons deliveries, and stronger international isolation of Russia. He described Russia's July offensive as a vile and constant assault, saying the country faced over 1,800 guided bombs, 300 drones, and multiple ballistic missile strikes in a single month. Western allies responded swiftly. Germany, in particular, pledged to send 2 Patriot air defense systems to Ukraine, bolstering Kyiv's capacity to defend its skies and sending a clear message that NATO solidarity was still intact. But perhaps the most striking response came from the African continent, from a leader who's become a growing symbol of resistance against Western dominance, President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso. Though no official invitation was ever extended to Traoré to attend any Trump event or inauguration, rumors circulated widely on social media that he had rejected such an invitation. Multiple fact checks confirmed the claim was false. Yet, the symbolism remained potent, and Traoré's actual posture left little room for ambiguity. Even if such an invitation had been real, many believe Traoré would have turned it down. His priorities, as he has repeatedly said, lie with his people, not with photo ops. In interviews and speeches, he's made it clear, Burkina Faso is at war, not just with armed insurgents, but with an old system designed to keep Africa weak, divided, and dependent. Traoré has outright rejected loans from the IMF and World Bank, famously declaring, Africa doesn't need the World Bank, the IMF, Europe or America. His policies prioritize self-sufficiency, local development, and the assertion of African dignity in the face of external pressure. While directly commenting on Trump's nuclear submarine announcement, Traoré's recent speeches at the AES summit and Pan-African forums echoed the spirit of defiance. He accused imperial powers of exploiting terrorism as a pretext to keep African nations in crisis. "It's not really terrorism," he said. It's imperialism. Their goal is to keep us in a state of permanent war so that we cannot develop. These remarks have gone viral, resonating deeply with African youth, civil society leaders, and anti-colonial movements across the continent. Traoré's stance is more than political, it's psychological. In refusing to bend to Western pressure, even symbolically, he has become a living contrast to the idea that global power must always reside in Washington, Moscow, or Brussels. For many across Africa and beyond, he embodies a growing sentiment that the era of quiet submission is over, and that a multipolar world is not just desirable, it's inevitable. Even without ever being invited, Ibrahim Traoré made a statement heard around the world. By staying grounded, focused, and unshaken, he reminded the world that true leadership isn't always in the rooms of power, but often in the resolve to serve one's people without compromise. The shadow of Trump's submarine maneuver may loom over Europe, but its ripple effects reach far deeper into Africa, a continent that's quietly become the most contested diplomatic chessboard of the 21st century. For the United States, Africa has long been a strategic afterthought, a theater framed through humanitarian aid, military counter-terrorism outposts, and mineral competition. But recent moves by Ibrahim Traoré and his counterparts have upended that framework. Leaders from the Sahel to the Gulf of Guinea are no longer content to be passive partners. They're choosing sides, or choosing none at all. Washington's traditional levers, IMF loans, military training, and conditional aid, are rapidly losing traction. Countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are now rejecting Western bases, expelling French troops, and entering strategic pacts with Russia and China. America is now in the uncomfortable position of watching former allies embrace alternative patrons, ones who don't lecture them about governance, press freedom, or debt ceilings. In response, the US has tried recalibrating. More cultural exchanges, more economic diplomacy, even attempts to expand AFRICOM's influence through back channels. But the mood has shifted. For many African leaders, especially those hailed by youth movements like Traoré, Western involvement now reeks of conditionality and control. Russia, on the other hand, has seized the opportunity with surgical precision. In recent years, Moscow has rebranded itself in Africa, not as a former imperial overlord, but as a strategic equalizer. Its message is simple: sovereignty, respect, and mutual gain. Through security pacts, military training, mining contracts, and joint ventures in nuclear energy and infrastructure, Russia is making inroads at lightning speed. Its presence in the Sahel is no longer just symbolic, it's operational. From intelligence-sharing networks to arms deals and counter-terrorism coordination, Moscow is embedding itself deep within Africa's political and security architecture. The Kremlin's advantage? It doesn't preach. It partners. As African youth disillusioned with Western hypocrisy look elsewhere for inspiration, figures like Ibrahim Traoré become both political and cultural icons. His defiance is not merely resistance, it's a blueprint for a new kind of African diplomacy, one that's uncompromising, confident, and multipolar. So what does all this mean? It means the ground is shifting beneath Washington's feet. It means Cold War 2.0 may not play out in Berlin or the Baltic, but in Bamako, Ouagadougou, and Niamey. It means that the next global realignment won't just be shaped by submarines or missiles, but by which leaders command the loyalty and imagination of the next generation. Africa is no longer the battleground. It's becoming the kingmaker, and for those of us watching history unfold in real time, let this be a moment of clarity. The age of silent compliance is over. The age of strategic independence has begun. If this gave you a new perspective, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay ahead of the global story. Until next time, stay aware and stay informed.